Hey everybody, it's Atheist for the Cause here, and I've got another video response of the Young Turks for you, and I don't usually like to do them back to back because, if I'm gonna try to hold a news outlet accountable or something like that, I'd like to spread them out and just not focus on that. But this one was so terrible that I just had to, despite just putting out a video response. So let's take a look. PSA, don't forget marijuana isn't legal everywhere. Now look, 68 upvotes, 7 downvotes. Must be a pretty good video, right? Well, let's have a look.
A police department has just released a PSA in regard to marijuana. Just because marijuana has been legalized in your state doesn't mean you get to be in possession of marijuana in a state that hasn't legalized it yet. So they put out this amazing PSA.
I mean, that's pretty obvious, right? Just because marijuana is legal in your state, if it's illegal in another state, doesn't mean you can bring that marijuana from your state to the state where it's illegal. Pretty common sense stuff here. And
they included a mugshot of a guy who got arrested because he was in possession of pot. So there it is, and I love every part of it. Selkit Taylor, for those of you who are listening to us on the radio, is squinting, smiling, and sticking his tongue out in this mugshot. Seems like he might have enjoyed a doobie prior to being photographed.
Well, if you enjoyed a doobie and, did marijuana, you must be cool.
But
they literally know nothing about this guy, and watch how much love they're gonna praise on him. And then this isn't even an attack on using marijuana or anything. It's just that it's just annoying when, just because he used marijuana, now they're all gonna rally around him.
As a public service announcement, it is illegal to possess recreational marijuana in New Hampshire, even if you only smoke it in Massachusetts. Cops had apparently pulled him over. I forget why they pulled him over.
He was using his cell phone.
Oh, he was using his phone while he was driving, which is illegal. You can't do that. Anyway.
Yeah, that's pretty offensive to use your cell phone while you're driving. Don't do that.
So they pulled him over for that reason, and then they noticed that he had a little bit of marijuana in his cup holder, and they arrested him as a result of that.
You know what I wonder about this? If there's any test.
In fairness, I will say, if you're using marijuana and you have it in your vehicle or something, and then say, you travel and you don't even think you have marijuana on you, and maybe you tried to even clean it out. If you forget, or if you leave just a little bit in there, I mean, in a state where it's illegal, that can get you in some big trouble. So, I mean, I could see a possibility where there was just a little left in the cup holder, but I don't think that's what happened here. I think he had his leftovers there.
Out there, if it is more dangerous to drive a car, to operate a vehicle while you are on your cell phone, actively on your cell phone, than if you are a little bit high. Like, I wonder if obviously there's really no way.
Don't you love how they add words like little bit? Look at the picture in the bottom left. Does he look like he's a little bit high?
Because since it's still a Schedule I drug federally, we really have not a lot of testing done on marijuana. But I think
yeah, it shouldn't be Schedule I. It should definitely be downgraded, at the very least. And I think if you argued to have marijuana downgraded, that would have huge support. I mean, it's got huge support to legalize it medicinally, completely, and there's still a lot of support to legalize it recreationally. But to simply, bring it from Schedule I down a little bit, that would still have massive amounts of support. Like, that's about the least you can do. That it's the most obvious, because Schedule I is meant for drugs that have no medicinal value, and clearly marijuana has some.
I think what they're trying to do is they're sending a message. This is for him. It sucks for him, for poor Taylor. He was charged with possession of a controlled drug.
Poor Taylor. Keep this framing of him in mind.
drug, transporting a controlled drug in a motor vehicle, and use of an electronic mobile device. I understand the message they're trying to send. I think it is really important to remember that as more states legalize marijuana, to be cognizant of how you are traveling with it. Don't be stupid. I heard a friend of mine transported marijuana in a...
So the only thing they mentioned there, it was a bunch of transportation type of marijuana laws that he broke. And he used the cell phone, which he shouldn't have.
Like in a peanut butter thing, they forgot that they had done it, and they could have absolutely been arrested for it, 'cause while they were traveling,
did they fly?
They flew.
They didn't forget that they did it. Let's just keep it 100.
Okay, but
right?
for the sake of this,
no, I know.
Anna calling her out, and I love see the little smirk. Being a little dishonest there and getting called up for it.
Oh, I know. Look, I'm just sorry to your friend, but we've all been there.
He's fine, but it's one of those, that could have been that could have ruined his life.
Did they catch him?
No, they didn't.
Oh, yeah. I mean,
but don't be. That's what bothers me about this story.
No, you know who shouldn't be stupid? Our government shouldn't be stupid. Our federal government shouldn't be stupid.
But in the meanwhile,
it's so annoying that we still consider marijuana a Schedule I drug as if it's the most dangerous drug in the world, even though you can't overdose on it. And even though it's not anywhere near as dangerous as Schedule I drugs, and it does have medicinal value. So look, he shouldn't have.
By you can't overdose, she means that you can't realistically die from taking too much of it. I mean, you can definitely overdose on it. It just, isn't gonna kill you.
Have done it because sure, it's illegal in that state, yada yada, whatever. But I think it's more frustrating that we continue with this prohibition of marijuana on a federal level, even though the evidence indicates that it is not something that should be illegal on a federal level. Like if he had a handle of vodka in his trunk or whatever, right? It'd be fine.
That is another crazy thing about it. So he's operating a cell phone, and he could have had an entire handle of vodka next to him, as long as it's in a sealed container.
That's right. Yep.
And that would have been totally fine.
Totally
but
fine.
A little bud in his cup holder.
I love how they're like a sealed container, which you can't drink out of a sealed container, compared to an open container of marijuana. Yeah, they're making it less equal to compare them. This is a ridiculous analogy. Let's just move on from this.
That's what puts him away. But Anna, here's where I think we differ a little bit. And
he didn't have alcohol. They were just trying to make up some stupid analogy. So I'd say just forget that.
More bold of a person than I am in a lot of senses.
Well, thank you.
So, no, I mean, that's absolutely a compliment. I am a timid and shy little girl.
No, you're not.
So, here's the thing. I think that there's the war on, the big picture is the war where we need to get marijuana legalized, because that's something I agree with. I think it will help us economically. I also think that there is medicinal value. We need to get it for clinical trials and tests.
Well, economically, there can be benefits economically, but let's not forget that there can be some detriments economically too. We could, it could cost us a lot of money in healthcare and things like that. And because marijuana, long-term use of marijuana can still cause a lot of problems, and there are some studies that show productivity goes down. And if you have productivity going down for the masses, that could actually create a huge economic detriment. If you ever want to see how much a culture change can affect the economy, go look at how much less productivity there is during March Madness, the college basketball. It's amazing how much money it costs the economy, because workers aren't working hard and they're taking days off, and if they're at work, they're watching TV and stuff. It's just amazing. The productivity tanks. And marijuana has an effect where basically people get lazy. Now, this doesn't mean marijuana should be illegal, but if we're gonna have a fair discussion about it, we need to take all this into account, and we can't just look at the direct benefits of, oh, you can tax it and people are gonna buy it, and that's gonna create revenue and that type of thing. So, but it's true that in some ways it will definitely help the economy. In other ways, that it will definitely hurt. Overall, it might help more than it hurts. That isn't quite clear. It's open to a lot of projection, but I think the important thing is to have an all-encompassing conversation here.
There's so many benefits, and we can talk about that another time. But I think in the meantime, these little battles, you just got to be aware. Don't be dumb. That's what I'm saying.
No, don't get me wrong. I'm not saying. Well,
that's an absolutely good message, by the way. I mean, in the meantime, it's illegal. So if you can do it in places where it's legal, why do it where it's illegal? Now, if you live in a place where it's illegal and you're always in that place, I get why people break the law there, but like, this guy is traveling to another state. I mean, why didn't he just have his marijuana where it was legal and keep it there?
Oh, I am saying let him go, right? But if I were to advise,
so she wants them to let him go. Okay, so that's another thing to keep in mind. And there, a lot of this has been about policy of marijuana and legalizing marijuana. How stupid it is that marijuana isn't legal and stuff. But keep in mind, it really all started from this guy. He got pulled over for using a cell phone, and then they found marijuana. And they've painted him as a good guy that looks funny. He looks fun, and they should let him go.
Advise him prior to him crossing state lines and transporting marijuana. I would tell him, don't do it. You might get caught. It's just a bad look. You just don't even risk it. However, I mean, the first two charges against him sound pretty heavy, and I don't know what kind of ramifications that'll have for his future. But come on, Selkit. I mean, let's take a little look at Selkit again. Okay, is this the kind of guy that you want to go after?
Yeah, so, because he looks like this, clearly he can't break serious laws or anything like that. So we should just let him go. Because, look how he looks.
Make him a victim of our unjust justice system?
Yeah.
So you heard it here. If you get arrested for breaking the law, you are then a victim of the justice system because it is unjust. That's Anna Kasparian with some brilliant fucking analysis right there for you.
He has a record now.
Yeah. He seems like a really fun guy. I'm just kidding.
Does he?
Yeah. He's the kind of guy I'd want to go camping with.
Yeah.
So she'd want to go camping with him because of how he looks. Well, she didn't say because of how he looks, but her judgment is based on how he looks. So keep that in mind too.
I get you on that, but he definitely seems like the sort of person that would want you to know how high he is.
Yeah.
There's some people who are like, I'm so high. I'm like, all right, we got it, Selkit.
I have no clue why she's attacking him. This is just kind of weird, but whatever. It's kind of funny at the same time. So
we got it. We saw you walk into the door, so we know that you're high, Selkit.
See, I think what's actually happening here, if I'm discussing this in the best spirited way, they're both playing on their, and they've kind of talked about it, on their past experiences. They're thinking not about him. They're thinking about their own usage of marijuana. And she's talking about this guy kind of how he looks kind of reminds her of someone, that always told her how high they were and kind of got freaking annoying after a while. And Anna Kasparian is reminded about someone who she got high with and, who's really fun and just being crazy, and she'd love to go camping with them. And, I think it's really more about their own memories than it has anything to do with pot laws or this guy.
Anyway, well, best wishes to Selkit. I hope you can hire a good attorney.
Get off your cell phone while you're driving.
Yeah, I'm more offended by that. That's way more dangerous.
Yeah, what an offensive thing to be on your cell phone.
I mean,
it's really dangerous.
Yeah, and by the way, there's no indication other than his mugshot that he was high while he was driving.
Okay, so let's look at this. Keep in mind everything you just heard and the positive praise of Sulkit and defense that you just got. That's this guy. See him? And that is not this guy with the stitches. Man charged in alleged stabbing at Peterborough apartment complex. Peterborough police are charging a 28-year-old Danville man with first and second degree assault in an alleged stabbing incident at Rockbrook Apartments. This just shows you the young Turks does absolutely no research. It did not take me long to find this. And this is from June 6, 2017. And their video came out on July 4th. So, police charged Sulkit Taylor with assault with a deadly weapon on Noah Lorden, a 22-year-old Temple resident, according to documents on file with the 8th Circuit Court in Jaffrey. So, Anna Kasparian, would you like to revise your opinion about this man? Or would you like to go on a camping trip with him? Because, you know, he looks funny. He looks fun because he did marijuana and then drove into a state where he, and it looks like he's high here, but we don't know if he was high at the time, but he drove into a state with his marijuana where marijuana was illegal. And he was on his phone while texting, or while on his phone while driving, excuse me. And he assaulted someone with a deadly weapon. So he's breaking all kinds of laws. Why didn't you bring up that there was an alleged stabbing? But yeah, go on a camp trip with this guy. I'm sure that'll turn out real well for you. Lorden says Taylor attacked him with a steak knife while he was at the home of Ashley Hemian in Peterborough the night of May 20th. Peterborough and Jaffrey police responded to the apartment complex May 21st around 2 a.m. Lorden went to Monadnock Community Hospital early May 21st morning where he received stitches for an 8-centimeter laceration on his left forearm and a 2-centimeter cut on his left hip, according to medical records provided by Lorden. That's this. This is no fucking small little thing. This is a massive gash. Lorden didn't know Taylor prior to, and it's gonna get ridiculous when you read this whole story. This gets ridiculous and actually quite scary for these people. Lorden didn't know Taylor prior to the May 20th incident, he said. He said he was in Hemian's house watching Tommy Boy, great movie by the way, when he heard a loud banging at the front door of Hemian's apartment building. Attempts to reach Hemian by phone and through messages were unsuccessful. That's the woman in this case. So there might be more to this story. I don't know if he's a past boyfriend and she was hanging out with this potential boyfriend, or I don't know if there's more to this story, but there could be that. It says she looks at me and she's had this like fear in her eyes. She's like, it's Taylor. He's psycho. He's going to come in and hurt us, Lorden said. Lorden says he couldn't tell Taylor was holding a knife until Lorden put up his arm to deflect a blow and he felt the knife cut his arm. And from my, men's rights perspective, here's another area where you have a man putting his life on the line to protect a woman. And, it's just amazing how little credit men tend to get for doing stuff like this. And it's just expected. He just came in the room and started swinging, Lorden said. Lorden alleges that... And the only reason I bring that up is, with feminists, with all their toxic masculinity bullshit and stuff, men do a lot of good stuff, like saving this girl's life. He just came in the room and started swinging, Lorden said. Lorden alleges that Taylor then held him in a bathroom in the apartment for 30 minutes and told me if I told anybody that he would come to my house and kill me. I begged this kid for my life, Lorden said. Eventually, Taylor let Lorden leave. Taylor was arraigned by video Monday at the 8th Circuit Court in Jaffrey. He has a probable cause hearing Wednesday. Felonies such as assaults with a deadly weapon are tried in Superior Court according to district court officials, and Wednesday's hearing could move the case there. But remember when Anna Kasparian said, just let this guy go? Yeah, clearly, just let him go with, whatever comes up, because he's not an extreme danger to society or anything. He doesn't have assault with a deadly weapon charges against him or anything. Police Chief Scott Gunnard would not confirm Lorden's story, directing inquiries to the 8th Circuit Court, where Gunnard said he sent an arrest record. The narrative of a warrant report filed with the 8th Circuit Court on Monday afternoon says police responded to the apartment complex around 2:55 a.m. Police identified the occupants in the apartment as Hemian and her 4-year-old son, and learned Lorden had walked to MCH around 2:43 a.m. Police observed a male wearing all black, later identified as Taylor, attempting to exit out of the rear window around 3:30 a.m. The narrative said he was yelling at us something to the effect that, "They said I did it, she's drunk." What the fuck? After processing the scene, police interviewed Hemian, who was intoxicated, emotional, and being very evasive during questioning. Hemian told police that she and Lorden were in her bedroom hanging out when Taylor entered the residence, wearing white gloves and holding a knife. That's creepy if he comes in with gloves. Hemian said Taylor pushed past her, entered the bedroom, and attacked Lorden. Hemian reported she somehow left and didn't see the assault. Police reported Hemian had a lot of blood on her clothing, adding she had a cut on a finger on her left hand. Police received a contradictory statement from Taylor, who had red scratch marks and bruising around his neck at the police station. Taylor stated he was currently in a relationship with Hemian. Okay, there you have it. And that he entered the house using his own keys. Taylor said he was confronted by Hemian in the hallway and a verbal altercation ensued. Taylor alleged that he was strangled by Lorden to the point that he had passed out, later waking up in a closet. Well, if it's self-defense, that would be perfectly fine. Police later found that Taylor had made 3 phone calls to Hemian during the time he claimed to have been in the closet. Taylor told police that he grabbed and threw a knife at Lorden during the attack, striking him in the arm. Police report that Taylor did not have any blood on him, and he was not found with a knife or gloves. Police later found a white flip-open box cutter and approximately 50 pairs of gloves matching Hemian's description in Taylor's vehicle after he consented to a search. Police also said in the narrative that the car was loaded with clothes. The narrative said Taylor did not consent to a search of his cell phone, claiming he did not want us seeing pictures he had of his penis. Lorden was also interviewed. This is some fucked up story. Lorden also interviewed the night of the incident by police at Monadnock Community Hospital. Police report that Lorden was also intoxicated. A subsequent interview with police on May 23rd aligns with what Lorden told the Ledger transcript during a recent interview. Police also interviewed Hemian a second time, with Hemian giving a similar narrative to the one she gave in a previous interview. Hemian added that she didn't see Taylor leave as she was cleaning up blood and tending to her child. This is some scary stuff, folks. And remember, this is the woman or this is the man Anna Kasparian wants to fucking go on a camping trip with because he looks fun. Taylor would later come back to the property, and that Anna said the police should let him go and not file charges, because filing charges would make him a victim of an unjust criminal justice system. I mean, and this is the case that's being used to legalize marijuana, or argue to legalize marijuana. And if you are for the legalization of marijuana, people using someone like this Taylor guy should really, I mean, that does not help your cause. It makes it look like, you know, people who are for legalizing marijuana are dangerous people. That's what this does. Taylor would later come back to the property, according to Hemian, calling her from outside and ordering her to let him in. Hemian told police that she let him in as she was scared. Police arrived shortly after Taylor re-entered the property. Hemian told police that Taylor told her he had picked the lock to enter her apartment. When police said Taylor had keys to the apartment on the night of the incident, Hemian told police that she had lost a house and car key about a month ago, and that Taylor didn't have a set of keys for her apartment. Kind of sounds like he stole the key. Police concluded the narrative by saying that it is reasonable to believe that Taylor left the residence to hide or dispose of the knife used in the assault, as well as change his clothing, explaining why he was found without any blood on him. Attempts to reach Taylor, who is being held at the Valley Street Jail in Manchester, were also unsuccessful. Taylor's mugshot recently made headlines when the AP reported on his May 29 arrest by the Hampstead Police Department for marijuana possession. So this is the same fucking situation. This is not a prior situation. The New York Times picked up the story and posted it under the headline, "Police issue annoyed press release after pot arrest." What the fuck? This guy practically attempted to murder somebody. But that, you know, let's make this about pot. During the traffic stop, the officer observed Mr. Taylor to have a bag of marijuana in his cup holder, strikingly similar to this story. So, as you could tell, it is the exact same situation. As a public service announcement, it is illegal to possess recreational marijuana in New Hampshire, even if you only smoke it in Massachusetts, the release said. And now we know why the public service announcement was made. It wasn't just some random thing, you know. This was after an arrest where there was this major assault that was, you know, a guy was stabbed with a deadly weapon. And so, you know, he had marijuana in his cup holder, and they're like, well, maybe we should put out a statement about that, too, to remind people. In his arrest photo, Taylor is sticking out his tongue while his eyes are closed and arms are crossed, the Times reported. In the time between the incident and the charge, a social media campaign launched around the incident, including a Facebook page with more than 350 likes called Justice for Nora Lorden. On the page are a link to a website, peaceofmindfornora.com, and a video which recounts the incident according to Lorden. So there you have it. You know, people do not know what happened here. And this is extremely dangerous, in my opinion, by Anna Kasparian, and I forgot what her name is, but they're being extremely irresponsible to report this simply as, you know, oh, he had some marijuana in a cup holder and he was, you know, pulled over for being on his phone, and that was pretty much it. Like, no, this man, you know, locked somebody in a bathroom for 30 minutes. He's considered to be a psycho by the owner. He seemed to have potentially stole her key and had gloves and change of clothes, and you know, he was attacking people with a steak knife, sending them to the hospital, and there was a kid, a little 4-year-old in the house at the time. And this is how you want to fucking report this? Jesus Christ, the Young Turks, get your shit together and maybe do a little research. If I can do, you know, a simple Google search within and find this, I found this in like 30 seconds. And you couldn't be bothered with the, especially, you know, when you know a lot of times where there's these drug crimes, there are similar, or there are, you know, more serious crimes involved. So why wouldn't you look just to make sure that wasn't the case here? Anyways, I hope you guys have a good one, and you should attack stories like this if you're for the legalization of marijuana, because people who are anti-legalization of marijuana will point to this exact type of thing and be like, see? Told you so. Legalizing marijuana is dangerous because those who legalize, or those who use marijuana is dangerous. I mean, you're giving them their frickin' silver bullet.